Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Working Man Ron Doyle. I'm doing a trim out in the house here in Pocomoke City, Maryland, and it is July the 30th, 2022, and I want to give you a video presentation of installing a 5-light chandelier in the kitchen setting. This is a chain mount, and I want to show you the ins and the outs, tips and tricks of the trade. When I was apprenticing installing these things, these were somewhat of a challenge to line everything up and get them mounted. So I'm going to do a quick video for you to show you how you can speed your process up in getting this done more proficiently on your job. So I'm going to pan you down and we'll get started on this thing. I've got a mat on here to help my knees. We're going to open this thing up. This is a project source that is sold through Lowe's. Model number is 0344605. First thing I like to start with is opening the box up and lifting this and taking off the bag and ripping off the tags. Now, these are looped over. You can pull them off after you rip the tags off. And what I like to do is take the bag that's on the stem of the chandelier, pull that bag off, hold your wire, pull this down, lower your hand down, and keep your hand right above the loop and spin this on. So the box is holding this for you in position as you do this part of the job. There's plastic bushings inside of here to keep you from chafing the wire. And sometimes these can be a little bit of a booger to start. All right, I got it started. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to splay this out. And what I like to do is look at it length on end, and we're going to splay these out. Find the one that looks lined up and is centered with the center of the stem, which is this one, and splay these out in a fashion where you're looking at this and they all look symmetrical, such as so. The next thing I'm going to do is we're going to take off these nuts that hold the globes on. Like I said, this is 5 globes. We're going to take all these off, and then we're going to get the globes out of the box and we're going to insert them. I prefer putting all the hardware on the fan and laying it on the floor on its globes ends, and then go ahead and get the chain height set in position. If you're a lady, and no discrimination in this, but if you're a lady trying to do this install, adding all the globes prior to mounting it on the ceiling may be a little bit of a challenge because of the weight. You may want to install all of it and have somebody hold the bottom of it while you're attaching to the box in the ceiling. Put that to the side and pull this out. This is usually taped around the perimeter of the styrofoam, and I'm going to take a light score cut around the box. I'm going to take this part and put this back in the box. And I'm going to take these out one by one. Take the plastic packaging off, being very careful not to break them. I'm going to take the chandelier, hold it in my hand, put your shade on, take your nut, make sure you got the flat side down. This side here goes down first. And get it started on there. Now where this is a contractor's grade fixture, they don't give you the nut tightening tool. The nut tightening tool usually comes with your more expensive light fixtures and chandeliers, and basically it fits those nuts inside so that you can tighten these up. You'll find these with a lot of bathroom chandeliers and wall sconces. If you don't have this tool, the other way you can do it is put the shade on, put the nut on the same fashion, get it started until you can't go anymore, and then take the glue, spin spin the glue ever so slightly until you feel it stop. You got it tight. Now, as you're doing this, it's going to get heavier and heavier. And what you could do is actually, in helping in aiding in assembly, you could place this chandelier in a 5-gallon bucket and then insert all the globes on it. Now that I've got all 5 shades on it, you're going to look at this and see if all these gaps are pretty even. Now you can see this is a tight gap, this is a loose gap. I'm going to move this one over. I'm going to look at each and every one and see if they're symmetrically spaced apart. Then I'm going to take my light bulbs, which we're using a GE LED 760 lumen bulb. It has an output rating of 5K. That's what this contractor chose to put in this house. So I'm going to screw all the bulbs in. And then if you notice, these bulbs don't pass the shade. So I'm going to be able to sit this on the floor without smashing these bulbs. If you're using decorative bulbs, you need to pay attention to that. Make sure that the bulb doesn't pass the shade before you sit it on the floor and possibly shatter the glass bulb. You can see how I'm grasping it. I'm grasping it by the decorative center cap. Don't over tighten these bulbs because you can actually break that sheet metal ring that's on the inside, causing yourself some aggravation and possibly a return trip to the store. So now we've got that installed. We're going to place it on the floor, and we're going to undo our rat's nest that we got here, which is always a pleasure. We're going to open our hardware pack, which comes with a canopy cover. This is the decorative cover that marries to the ceiling. Looks like that. Now, my box is a fan-rated box that I've got mounted in the ceiling when I rough wired this house. The BB package is the actual screws that you would use to mount this in a box that you have that doesn't have the screws with the box. So we're not using those. And this is your device strap, and then your canopy nut, and then your canopy loop. As you can see right there. And we're going to open up our chain and our package of wire nuts that comes with this. I'm going to place these on the ladder. Now what we're going to do is we're going to need a tape measure. I'm going to pan you up so you're looking at the ceiling. Now you want to make sure that your box is fairly flush to the edge of your metal box. And we've got about 1/8 of an inch. And we're allowed 1/4 of an inch by code. So we're good on that. So what we're going to do is get an approximate height. Now this is something I always struggle with from the ceiling down and trying to appease customers with a general height of the table that they're going to be using. There's a standard 31 inch height table, which would be found in most homes. A lot of people are starting to use bistro tables, which are quite a bit taller, possibly by 10 more inches at 40 to 42. So I usually set all my light fixtures, I'm 5'10", I set all my light fixtures so their bottom of the shade is at my eye line. So when I stand up, I have a visual of the light fixture, but it's not blocking me from looking at someone across the table. And so far, I haven't had any complaints on that height, so I'm sticking with that height. We've got an 8-foot ceiling, so I'm looking at this tape measure. I'm lining my eyesight up with the number that we're going to use. You have a 9-foot ceiling, this is going to be a different measurement for you. I'm looking at, straight ahead, I'm looking at 30 inches down from the ceiling. That's how I'm going to position this light fixture. So I'm going to pan you back now and show you how to get this. Now, some of these fixtures come with quick snaps. I prefer not to use those. I've got a tool, a spling chain tool. It actually looks like a nutcracker, but it's actually for splitting chains. You can find these on Amazon for about $10 to $20. This part is for splitting links. This part's for crushing links. And it had a spring on the inside that I took out. I don't care for the spring because it fitting in my tool bag. I'm going to take the end of the chain, push this in here, and I'm going to splay this link out, such as so that it fits onto our light fixture. Now, let's see if I can pin you down a little bit better what we're doing here. So, I'm going to put the compressing part of the tool, the inner jaw, and squeeze the links together until it's flush. Now, this tool prevents most of the scratches that you would occur on these chain links. So, next thing we're going to do is we're going to set the height of our canopy cover into our device strap. So you're going to spin this nut off, right there. You're going to put your canopy cover onto this, and you're going to set this nut so you can see this ringed part is going to marry up in there like that. That'd be the right way, and this would be the wrong way because it wouldn't hold center. So make sure that ring is locked up with your canopy cover so that it doesn't slide off. You're going to insert this into the back, and then I'm going to start my ring on. Now, what you want to do is make sure it's not cross-threaded, ladies and gentlemen. I'm having a problem getting this started here. All right, we got it started. I'm going to flush it up so it's like that. We're going to push our cover up and hold it with the bottom so that we're pinching it. Now, as we have this and it's bottomed out, we want to see the device strap to the canopy cover. Now, I told you my box was 1/8 of an inch. I want to set this proper height right now. It's the easiest time to do this. So I'm going to screw this down and try not to pass my nylon insert, and then I'm going to look at it again. So right now we are at about 3/16 to a quarter. I'm going to take it down a little bit more. Okay. Now I'm going to take some pliers on this inner side. Now that we've got this height is properly set to where I want it at 1/8 of an inch. You can see that. We're going to take this nut back off, take this off, and I'm going to tighten this inner nut that you see right here, holding everything right where it was at. You could use an adjustable wrench. This is just the first tool that I grabbed. Now, we're using this on a deep box. It's an 1 5/8" box. If you're using this on a pancake, what you're going to want to do is reduce the thread count that comes on this side, because you're going to pinch the wire against the pancake that's inside the box. And you're going to have to pass out some of this nipple with a nylon insert so that it protrudes past the canopy ring, and make sure that this is as flush as possible so you don't crush your wires up to the top of the pancake box that's in the ceiling. Very important step that will cause an arc fault tripping issue. So the next thing that we're going to do, all right, this thing is now on the ground, and we're looking at a measurement for 30 inches. So we are going to insert a chain through the canopy cover with the decorative side facing down. Okay. At 30 inches is going to be to this device strap that's on the top. So what I'm going to do is squeeze these two in my hand, like so. I'm going to put a tape measure on the floor, holding it up, and we're going to find a measurement that lines up with the top of the device strap. We're looking for 30 inches. Slide it down until it meets 30 inches. Now you want to look at where it's at and the corresponding length. I know I need to splay this length out. I need to splay this ring out to make 30 inches to the top of the device strap. So we're going to get our tool. We're going to splay this out. We're going to take our chain off. Okay. Canopy cover is on. Okay. You want to make sure you put your nut on with the reduced ring facing up. Put your canopy cover on. You want to take your link that you actually spread out, place that on, place your device strap with canopy cover loop on. Take your inner pliers and compress that so your chain link lines up. Now, after you get that, you want to check to see how this is set. Start your nut back on. Okay, hold your canopy cover. So this is going to be the visual that you see from the ceiling down. Check and make sure that you're at your mark. I'm at 30 1/4. That's as close as I can get it. Take your cutters. We're now going to prep. We're going to prep this wire, and I don't like to cut this wire too short in case somebody wants to change the height of it in the future. So I'll hold the wire up. I'm going to guess a foot, 12 inches past the top of the canopy cover. I've got my fingers pinched on it. I've got the ground and the hot and the neutral pinched together. I'm going to go ahead and make a cut. You can disregard this wire. Okay. Now we have to weave these two wires up through the chain. So I'm going to do every other length. I'm going to start with the ground first. It's a bare ground. Make sure you don't kink it. It looks a lot cleaner when you don't kink the wire. Go every other length on this until you make it through the top. Now when you come through the top, make sure you don't accidentally push those bushings through. There's not a lot of bushings. They're in there to protect the wire from chafing. So now you're going to use the same link holes. You're going to line up and you're going to slide your decorative wire through the same link holes, and then proceed and work your way up to the canopy cover. And then insert it through the canopy cover. This part could be a little tricky. Now, if the bushing's in your way, you could pull it out, get your wire inserted, and then put the bushing back in place. You definitely want the bushing in there. Some of your cheaper light fixtures that I've installed, I've actually found that they're skimping on these bushings. And I'm having a problem. So what I'm going to do is remove that bushing. So I'm going to grasp the bushing. Hopefully it comes out. Well, she's stuck. She's not coming out. So we're going to keep working with this until I get it in there. There we go. I got it. All right. So you want to make sure your chain is straight and that you have your everything pulled up nice and even, going up and through the canopy cover assembly and the device strap. Very carefully, you're going to take a utility knife and you're going to split the hot and the neutral. Get it started with the utility knife so it's cut center, and then pull and splay down about 6 inches. Now I'm going to get my strippers. I'm going to cut off 1 inch of that because it's quite possible you've cut the strand doing so. And now I'm going to cut back 3/4 of an inch on each one of these, and I'm going to twist the strands together. Now this step is identifying the neutral from the hot. So holding your wire straight up. If I can give you a close up on this, holding your wire straight up so it's directly in front of you. Run your finger across this side and then run your finger across this side. You'll see 3 or 4 ribs on one side of the wire, and it's a wire, if you have a hard time seeing, it's the wire that has a rough, coarse feeling to it. This side is the neutral side. It's always the neutral side. If it's wired correctly from the manufacturer, this is the neutral and this part is the hot. I'm going to identify this wire with a piece of white electrical tape. So when we're wiring it into the ceiling, it's wired correctly. Now, on this corresponding, we'll take one of these bulbs back out. If this is wired properly, this inner ring that has the threads for the light bulb is the neutral. The prong that's down in the dead center, all the way in the center of that hits that point on the light bulb, that is the hot. This is the neutral, this is the hot. And the reason why they do that is it's to prevent you from actually getting shocked if you're cleaning this light fixture out, somebody has the switch on, and quite possibly if you're screwing the bulb out, you've already broke contact with hot. The part that you're touching is the neutral. It's not going to shock you if this is wired properly when you're removing your light bulbs. So I'm going to apply the neutral. Get my white electrical tape, which apparently is nasty. And we're going to identify this with some white tape. like I said, hold the wire, run your finger across it, both sides, and feel the wire with the roughness on it. That's the neutral. And I like to do this on every fixture that I install, because the ones that I've seen homeowners do, they never wire this right. If they do, it's by a guess only. Alright, so we have our neutral identified. We know that this one is the hot side. We're going to loosen our nut, our canopy cover nut. Okay? I'm going to put you on pause and get my ladder set in position. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we've got our chandelier here. We've got our wires coming over to the facing of me. We'll send these on the opposite side. And this light weighs about, I'm saying about 12 pounds. I'm going to get one screw inserted in there. I'm going to put my thumb on it, like so. I've got my power screwdriver here. I'll put it on the screw. Run that up. That one screw will hold it until you get the other one situated in place. Get your other screw set in place. Don't over tighten it, you just strip it out. Make sure that you don't have your decorative wire or your hard wire for your circuit pinched under that device strap. We're going to insert our ground from our light fixture under this green ground screw. I'm going to leave a little bit of a loop so it's not so tight. Pull it around the ground screw clockwise and then put a little tighten on it. You don't want to over crank this, you will cut that wire in half. Okay? Now, this particular installation, we are using orange wire nuts, and we're connecting it to a 14-2 in this box. So we know that white tape is our neutral, the bare is our ground. I'm going to loop this wire back through, so we're using as much of it as possible so it's not going to be pinched. Pass your stranded wire past your copper, such as so. You can see that. I'm passing mine about 3/16 of an inch. Get your wire nut started on there, tighten it up. Grab your stranded and give it a pull and make sure it's not going to come out. Now I'm going to twist that. I'm going to fold that back up in the box. Okay. We're going to do our neutral. Now we've got our neutrals identified with white tape. I'm going to coil it back through the box to use as much of that wire up as possible. We're going to connect the wire with the white tape to the neutral wire, passing it by 1/8 to 3/16 so that the stranded wire has a leading start on the solid copper. Tighten that up, give the decorative wire a pull, make sure it's not coming out. And we're going to do our hot, same thing. Our hot wire we're going to pass 1/8 to 3/16, put your wire nut on there, tighten the wire nut up. And we're going to take our decorative wire and we're going to give a pull on it, make sure it won't come out. Push your wires up in the box, push your device cover onto it. Now if you have to, so if you don't have enough thread because you didn't guess it right, you can spin this just a little bit. Don't go crazy with it. Take your canopy cover nut and get it started. Now if you have to, you can move this canopy cover back and forth until it lines up properly. I'm going to give a little bit of a tug, just a little pressure. I'm going to pull this down, and what you're doing is you're pulling that device strap down like that. I'm going to pull this down just a little bit. I'm going to tighten that nut. I'm not really cranking down hard on this, just lightly. Tighten your device nut, snug it with your fingers. No tools involved. You don't want to use tools on this decorative finish. Now, during construction, you're looking at this light fixture. Okay, very good idea. You want to pin this light fixture up with a spare length of chain. So take your chain that we've got, get yourself a link, put your splitters in there. I've got my thumb, if you can see my thumb is against it. Splay your link out and take that link off. Now if you want to, you can take your S-hook and you can do that too. This link is important because this is going to prevent this light fixture from getting oxidated during the turn-out phases of construction. And take your loop, put it around the big loop, take your chain, put your hand over it, put your other hand under the base of the fixture. Basically, you're putting a holding link to hold this light fixture up in its highest position. This will give you somewhat clearance under this light fixture during construction. Let's see what we got. So I'm 5'10". With that link installed, from the floor up, we have 6 foot 4.5. Well, the average American is under 6 foot, the majority of us. Now I'm going to show you taking this link out and letting it back down what our height is. Now this is the fixed position of our light. Now the camera's higher than I am, but right now these shades are at my eye line. I can see underneath the light fixture. So if you're tall, you might want to set this up a couple more inches. So right now we have 5 foot 6.5 inches. I don't know if you can see that. We've got 5 foot 6. We got 5 foot 6.25 on that one. So this link that I'm going to put back in is going to keep this light fixture from getting busted. And yes, I've broken before. I've had other people run into my lights during construction, break them, and replacing the customer's light the second time, it's very expensive. So very, very much suggested as being a good idea. And ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our video presentation of installing a 5-light chandelier in a kitchen setting for a new construction home. I hope you all liked the video. If you did, please give me a big thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel for future videos on things electricians do. I want to wish you all a wonderful and blessed day. Until the next time, stay safe out there.